listening to the Rookie Big Board Podcast Network.
Welcome into the Dynasty Big Board, part of the Rookie Big Board Podcast Network. I'm your host, Anthony Carenti, joined by my co-hosts, Ryan Searfoss and Eric Adams. Gentlemen, how you feeling today?
Good, man. I'm going to try not to move to squeak my chair at all tonight, so wish me luck.
Low key, I think that's my chair, but we're just going to go with it that it's your chair.
Oh, Chairgate.
Yeah, it's definitely yours. It doesn't do that on my other podcast. It's
No, it's yours.
It's weird. So I am not moving. I have a stress ball in my hand like Matt suggested. So we're going to see how it goes.
Nobody move. Everybody stay perfectly still because on today's show,
I don't know what to do with my hands.
we're going to be discussing which players could break out in a big way for our dynasty teams in the 2022 NFL season. So once again, we polled the patrons in the Rookie Big Board Discord to see who some candidates they thought were to potentially break out this year. So if you're watching the show on YouTube, make sure to comment down below who you think could break out this year. Go ahead and hit the like button on the video as well. Before we get into the breakouts, I just want to make sure that you know you can gain access to Rookie Big Board premium content at patreon.com/theFFeducator. So this includes our consensus dynasty rankings, consensus Devy rankings, access to the aforementioned engaging and active Discord channel, and the ability to ask us for personalized advice on trades, your roster, and much, much more for as cheap as I think $3 a month. So you'd be silly not to. So go ahead and head on over to patreon.com/theFFeducator. And without further ado, let's get right into it. The first guy that came up when we polled the patrons in the Discord was Philadelphia Eagles running back Miles Sanders. So Miles Sanders in 2021 had 137 attempts, 754 yards, 0 touchdowns, 34 receptions for a $158 and 0 touchdowns. So, Foss, why don't you kick us off? What are your thoughts on Miles Sanders moving forward? And do you have any faith that Philadelphia kind of uses him in a way that would let him break out for once?
So, like, at first I was like, this is weird. It's always like Miles Sanders. Like, the skill set I like what he brings to the table. And he's electric. I'm like, why did they hate him so much last year? Is the big question that's kind of popped in my head. And if we look at him, week 7, sprained ankle. Week 13, he hurt his ankle again. Week 16, fractured his hand and had a head injury. Like, he was just beat up, and they rotated backs. We're looking at the Eagles team. There's a lot to like with what they did. They led the league in rushing last year, in rush attempts. They ran the ball 32 times a game last year, which is crazy. So the opportunity is there for that if he can separate himself. He was incredibly efficient when he ran the ball. He was his yards per touch was over 5-6 a touch. He's very efficient when he had it. It's just they didn't give it that way. If he's a healthy player, which we're talking about health at a running back, which could be any player down at any time at that position. We never know, and it's such a crapshoot. But he's that guy. If he's healthy, he's good. He was top 5 in breakaway runs, like big runs. He's a good receiving back. He has all the tools to do it. It's just that health, and are the Eagles going to give lesser backs the opportunity because he is a better back than everyone else they have and far more explosive. Like, I don't understand why they don't do it if he's healthy. So at his value right now, I think he's a great buy, and him breaking out would be awesome.
You're in the second round, right? Second round? Sorry, I didn't cut you off there. Second round?
Like in the NFL draft?
Yeah, so this is last year. I mean, I think I'm with Ryan. I think I'm with everyone else in fantasy football community. I want to see them use him. I really do want to see them use him to his fullest potential. He only averaged 11 carries last year. Brian brought up all the laundry list of injuries. If he stays healthy, I mean, like you said, Brian, he's, as much as I love Kenneth Gainwell and as annoying as Boston Scott is, he's the better running back of the three.
It's not even close.
Yeah. Oh, hey, come on. I like Kenneth Gainwell.
Whoa, yeah, Kenny Gainwell slander.
Yeah, let's give that a fuck. Let's give that a rest.
What Miles Sanders is RB27 and has 80. He had 84 right now.
See, I wanted to know the ADP. Yeah, see, at that ADP, I'm probably buying in. What is that? 7th round, 6th round?
Yeah, 7th round. Me and math,
Around there?
friends. But he's right between James Conner and Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and Tony Pollard and James Cook. Like that's his vicinity.
Yeah, it's just tough because they clearly love to cycle the running backs. Like even when he was healthy last year, they still cycled the running backs. I don't know. I like the call to have him be a breakout candidate. I think he has the talent to do it, and I think Philly has the incentive to use him being in his final year. But it's just tough, man. Philly's, more. So, I know everyone's moving towards the committee approach, but Philly more so than a lot of others really cycle those backs in.
They ran the ball 550 times last year.
You got to believe that drops by at least like 30 carries. At least 30 carries.
Even if it's 500. We're talking
still a good amount.
500.
That's a good amount of carries to go around.
That's a lot.
If you told me you can get him 200 carries for the first time in his career, I would buy into that. I'd buy into that breakout call.
Dude, a 35%. How many you said 200?
200.
That'd be a 40% market share of the rushing. That's it.
I don't think that's asking a lot either. Come on.
If we did it, if it was a 35% market share with what he can do as a receiving back, that's 200 plus touches. Easy. And that's really good for fantasy. And I'm on board with that.
His efficiency numbers have to be off the charts because he's a very efficient running back when he gets the carries.
Yeah, for sure.
Always.
Yeah,
yards per carry is definitely not the thing, but like we always look for, but 4.6, 5.3, 5.5. That's his 3 years in his career. Yep. He's gotten better every single year.
Yeah, my questions with Miles Sanders have nothing to do with his talent level. It's 100%. Does Philadelphia hate him, and can he stay healthy? Because
11 games, 12 games.
Yeah, and I know it's foolish to expect like any running back to play 17. Like it's just a position that they all get hurt at some point and they miss a game or two. But I don't know. Philly's reluctance to like commit to giving him 40% of the market with a quarterback that's going to take some of the rushing work himself, even though they'll probably try and throw it some more, especially with AJ Brown in town. I agree with what Eric said. If he can get 200 carries or just north of 200 carries, I'm in on the breakout. But
why would you want a guy who can have breakaway runs and big runs, or you could just have Boston Scott and Jordan Howard fall forward for 40 yards?
It's a fair point.
Jordan Howard's not still on that team. He better not be. Oh my God.
I hope not, but
he's not.
All right. Well, let's move on to the next player on the list. San Francisco 49ers quarterback of the future, Trey Lance. So super limited sample size from Trey Lance last year. Obviously, Jimmy Garoppolo was the guy, but Lance did throw 5 touchdowns, 2 picks, had just over 600 yards, a score on the ground, 168 rushing yards. I think everybody's probably pretty high on Trey Lance. I haven't checked the rankings to say this, but my gut feels like Eric might be the highest. So, Eric, why don't you kick us off on Trey Lance?
Well, now I'm going to the rankings. I hope.
Yeah,
I'm
me
highest.
too.
I hope
you are. You are.
Where do I got him?
Eric has him as quarterback 12. I have him quarterback 14. Ryan hates Trey Lance, has him as quarterback 20.
Yeah, Ryan's a skeptic.
I think I'm gonna switch him with Fields, honestly.
You have him below Fields?
I like Fields talent more. But you know what? I hate it.
I mean, I get that, but you got to look at the team makeup, man. Good God.
Yeah, I switched it. It's switched. He's 9. I have him 19th now, so I hate him a little bit less.
Jesus. Yeah, look, I don't, Trey Lance breakout year. This guy's calling it. George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel's going to suck it up and go back to camp. Incredible O-line. Kyle Shanahan's calling the plays. Yeah, I rest my case. Oh, and he runs. You're too low on Trey Lance, guys. Everyone who's listening to this podcast is too low on Trey Lance. I think it's more likely that Trey Lance finishes as a top 5 quarterback this season than he does as not in the top 24. I think it's way more likely that he finishes top 5.
I agree with that. I think of those two options, it's way more. I agree. Yeah, way more likely he puts up a top 5 season than outside the top 24.
I don't think anybody has him outside of top 24 though.
You had him at 20, so you were close.
Literally had him 4 spots away from it. So I mean, it's hard to believe that. I'm sure there's people who really don't like Trey Lance. They're probably eating up these crappy media headlines because they're all bored. They don't know what to do with themselves. When George Kittle's literally coming on, and I don't know. I think I'm going to take the word of a guy who's probably in the know on Trey Lance, like George Kittle. He said he's lighting it up. It's also May. Jimmy Garoppolo's not going to start. Get your jokes off now. Trey Lance is going to be a stud. He's just going to be a stud. I'm just going to the grave with that. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm not going to be wrong on it, but he's going to be amazing. So. Go ahead.
I think he's going to be a good quarterback. I do. I don't know if it's how good it's going to be this season. If we're talking about for this year, I think we'll see Shanahan try to protect his quarterback, his young quarterback, and the best way Shanahan knows how is run the ball into the ground. Yes, Trey Lance is definitely going to get his on the ground, and he's going to have some big plays and some things. But I don't know if it's going to be consistent because they don't want to pass if they don't have to. And a young QB in there who, yes, he has some upside last year with his good touchdown interception ratio, still completed a low percent of passes, and was fairly raw coming out. He's got to protect him. If you think they left him on the bench his rookie year because Jimmy G was good, no, it was to ease him in. And the next step of easing a quarterback in, which they're proving they're doing, is making that offense easy for him. 1 or 2 reads, run, which could be good fantasy-wise, but a lot of it's going to be Mitchell, and those 3 other running backs are going to rotate.
Do you think the Chiefs thought Alex Smith was good when they held Patrick Mahomes on the bench? This is a Jimmy Garoppolo question.
I'm sorry.
Huh? No, I said they did. I think they started Jimmy Garoppolo last year because they wanted to protect Trey Lance.
But you also said they didn't start Jimmy Garoppolo because they thought he was good. Man, the shots at Jimmy Garoppolo, man.
Dude, Jimmy Garoppolo he's a really good game manager.
He's really good at beating Aaron Rodgers on his home field. That's what he's really good at. True. I'm impressed by that. I'm sorry. I'm snarky tonight. I just wanted to get that one out.
They can't give away Jimmy Garoppolo right now. I know he's injured, but what's that tell you?
He's got $26 million. That's what that tells me.
That's fair.
I don't want $26 million on my payroll for Jimmy Garoppolo. No, thank you. Torn shoulder, Jimmy? No. He'll be on the team, and that's going to make for some good content in the preseason. I'll tell you right now.
I can't wait. It's going to be so much drama in season. First time Trey Lance struggles.
There will be no drama in season. You're all going to look stupid if you think Jimmy Garoppolo is going to deter from Trey Lance. I'm going to tell you that right now.
No, I'm talking the media if Trey Lance struggles at all.
That will be put to rest week 1 of 2022 then.
The thing what scares me with him is ADP is getting high.
Where's that?
He's QB 11 right now.
That's
which I know it's right on point with your rankings, but
that's good.
We've already put him over Trevor Lawrence from the same draft class.
If he is what I think he is, that's the cheapest you're ever going to get him. Get him now.
For what it's worth, I have Trevor Lawrence ahead of him.
I believe I do too. I have him 1 spot ahead of him.
Yes.
I have Trevor Lawrence 1 spot ahead of him.
I will take McCorkle at his value over 48 spots later.
Is he that much later?
48 spots. We're talking 114 to 159.
Mac Jones is in shape, baby. You gotta look out. He slimmed down.
Then you got Zach Wilson.
Season.
Then you got Zach Wilson at 164. I'm more confident about Zach Wilson than Trey Lance.
That one I don't agree with, but I mean,
I have Zach Wilson one spot ahead of Trey Lance, but that's not. I don't know if I'm the best barometer.
I have it. Lawrence 11, Lance 12, and Wilson 13.
Yeah, I have
and then
Lawrence,
McCorkle 15, Fields 16.
Yeah, I have them all very close. I have Lawrence 12, Wilson 13, Lance 14, and then Jones 16, and Fields 17. So they're all like right there.
Yeah.
Which I think we've said a lot of times. These quarterbacks were all buys this offseason for the right price. Like they were all people to go out and target if you could get the right deal done.
And honestly, I feel like he's the only one who's not searched or you can't get now.
Who, Lance?
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel like you can go out and buy the other one still.
Yeah, that's fair.
I would not be giving up Lance right now. I agree with people not selling him.
That's like you can't get him right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
But all the other rookie QBs from last year you can.
Yep.
All right, let's move on, and Ryan, kick us off on Matt Hicks, wide receiver 1. Just kidding. Rashod Bateman, 68 targets a season ago, 46 catches, 515 yards, and a touchdown. Foss, you're the Baltimore guy. Well, what are we expecting out of Rashod Bateman this season?
So we're letting the Ravens team right now. They lost obviously a good bit on offense, and their offense last year looked much different than it's going to do right now. Which I'm just trying to address the part where people are down right now first. They're going to run the ball a lot this year, probably. They went back. They drafted because they're going back to 3 tight end sets. But you know what? They've improved. They've worked on their defense, but they've improved their offensive line, which means more time for Lamar back there. And that's his wide receiver 1 now. It's going to go in the pecking order is Mark Andrews, who's going to get his 130 targets. And then you're going to have Bateman next. Because after that, you got Duvernay and Prochet, who are just complete question marks. I think they could be okay, but Baltimore drafted Rashod Bateman knowing that Hollywood Brown wanted out. They wanted him as their wide receiver 1. He didn't play till week 6 last year. In those his first weeks in this league, before Lamar got hurt, he never hit more than 80% of the team's snap share. Once Lamar went out, he ended up getting that snap share. So we honestly could see somewhere with him working with him all off season because he didn't have the reps last year. We could see him around that target share that Marquise Brown had last year. Last 2 years, anywhere between that 120 to 130 targets is not out of the question. And the AFC, with how it's scoring, there's going to be shootouts. It's as much as they're going to want to run the ball, they're going to have to pass. And teams are going to key on Mark Andrews because obviously the ball's going to normally get to him. It's going to leave a lot of easy balls to get for Bateman.
Eric, anything to add on Bateman?
It is a war between you and Matt. It is that chat in the Discord this morning. I read the whole thing.
That was off.
Yeah, it was like 40 messages.
Let me say for anybody that hasn't or didn't take this seriously at the beginning, the $3 a month for access to the Discord is worth it just to watch Ryan and Matt argue about Rashod Bateman.
It's pure entertainment. It's just pure entertainment.
It's
World War V.
He caught me in the morning because he hates him. But everything's there. Like, he didn't work with Lamar last year at all. He didn't have an offseason program because he was injured. He's been with him the entire offseason. Like, they've been working out in Florida since February. The connection is going to be there.
Look, man, I see 46 receptions and 515 yards like Ryan said, in limited duty. I'm very encouraged by that. I'd be very encouraged by that. He has 68 targets, 46 receptions. I don't see how he can't take a jump to like 70 to 80 catches this year and go over 1,000. I wouldn't be shocked at all. So I'm leaning more towards Ryan's side than Matt's side. Matt doesn't think he could be a top 24 wide receiver. I absolutely could see a world where he's a top 24 wide receiver. I would not be shocked at all.
And like I said, week 6, 63% snap share. This is just snap share. This isn't like receiving. This is him being like eased into it. 63, 60, 68, 55, 71, 47, 47, 68. And then Lamar got hurt. And it was 93, 83, 84, 87. Like, he was getting healthier. Oh, and that last game he had with Lamar before all that happened, he had 103 yards on 8 targets. But, it's on its way. And it's gonna be a real big "told you so" to Matt in that chat. I'm gonna send a gift of Rashod Bateman today the entire off season.
Oh my God.
To be fair, because Ryan, I feel like we just gave you a hard time for hating Trey Lance. I think based on my ranking of Rashod Bateman, I think I hate Rashod Bateman. I am by far the lowest on.
I'm too low too. I don't feel good about my Bateman ranking.
I'm kind of low on him too.
What am I, 30, 35? Yeah.
Eric has him 35. Ryan has him 25. I have him 41.
I'm going to have him I'm going to have him in the top 30 by the season starts.
He's going to be my top 24 here, probably by like the end of the week. I feel as soon as I see that quarterback change in Cleveland, guaranteed for the season, he's going to move up a spot.
My own, like the struggle I'll have with moving him up real significantly, it doesn't have so much to do with him, the player, or even like the fact that they'll run the hell out of the ball and all that stuff. It's just like, I don't know how far up I can move him based on how many other good wide receivers there are. You know what I mean?
Wide receiver stacked.
Yeah, like I'm probably too low on him, and he'll come up some, I'm sure, but I just don't know how far up I can get him. It's so, but he's an interesting one. I do agree with you guys that in limited work, like coming back from the injury and then with Lamar, that it's an encouraging stat line. I think that it is realistic to say that he could catch 70, 80 balls for, somewhere right around 1,000. I don't think that's outside the realm of possibility. I think, 70, 80 catches for somewhere like 800 to 1,000 yards feels about right. Like, I don't think it'll be crazy numbers, but hey, it's good enough. Like, it's good enough to be valuable.
Yep.
All right. Moving on to another running back. We have Green Bay Packers running back A.J. Dillon. I love this one. I love it. This is one of maybe my favorite one that got brought up. A.J. Dillon a season ago had 187 attempts, just over 800 yards on the ground and 5 touchdowns, and 34 catches and 313 yards and 2 touchdowns through the air. I love this one, man. I think that A.J. Dillon feels like the easiest call to me to be that guy that outperforms kind of where he's valued right now. We all have him ranked pretty similarly. I have him 24. You guys both have him 26. So, low end RB2, high end RB3. But I feel like he finishes higher than that. And I think in terms of rushing work, I think he is the lead guy there over Aaron Jones this year. I think Aaron Jones could still see, higher target share and see some more receiving work. But A.J. Dillon still had, 34 catches and 300 yards and 2 scores is worth something, in fantasy. It's not Kamara or, Christian McCaffrey type numbers, but for a guy that's built like A.J. Dillon that can run the hell out of the ball, it's certainly good enough. So I love A.J. Dillon this season and moving forward, and I really do think he kind of takes over the lion's share of the rushing work there in Green Bay. Interested to see what you guys think.
Looking at Green Bay's team right now and how they're set up, especially like this offseason and the moves they've made recently, I'm having like very solid images of those twilight years for Drew Brees, where they were playing really good defense, pounding the ball with Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara, a big body back who could move the pile and carry a ton of shares in a really good receiving back. That's what you're kind of seeing with them. And then your quarterback just making smart decisions, which Aaron Rodgers mastered. Like, I know Eric's going to say something about Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs collapsing, but like, you can see a lot of them trying to do that, playing ball control, play that North football. And A.J. Dillon's the key to that. he could be a 200+ carry guy easy this year, and that's with Aaron Jones. All those pass attempts we saw Devontae Adams, some are gonna turn to rushes, some of them are gonna turn to more dump offs to him. Like, it's gonna get spread around. It's not all Christian Watson and whatever guys their hodgepodge receiving core they have. These running backs are gonna get work.
I just want to put it out there that you were the one that said the words Aaron Rodgers collapse in playoffs, not me. Just want the record to show.
I mean, I don't disagree with it, but
that means you think he chokes, and I like that. Anyways, here's my problem with Green Bay right now.
Everything.
Along with that, I unfortunately kind of see it going the exact same way as it did last year. I don't know if I could, stat out more than 180 carries for both these guys. Like, now, if it swings vastly one way or the other, I don't know if I could see that. I remember last November in a pod, I remember saying it feels like they're trying to set up AJ Dillon to be more of the guy, and he did end up with more rushing attempts. But I don't they're not just gonna completely move away from Aaron Jones, especially with Adams leaving town. Yeah, and my biggest problem with all this is you don't get better as an offense when Devontae Adams leaves town. Something tells me they'll actually struggle more. I'm not just gonna throw Christian Watson in there and whoever. Did they take another wide receiver? Was there a second one they took? It was just him.
No, that they added.
Romeo Dobbs, right?
Sammy Watkins.
Oh, Sammy Watkins pencil in the big week 1.
Yeah, so their offense definitely took a step back.
Their defense is legit. They look like they want to play ball control football.
If they commit to running the ball like that, then I'm all in on both of them. I can see a nice year coming from both of them. But I don't know.
They're 2 first-round picks for defense.
Okay.
One's
a linebacker who benefited from playing on Georgia, and the other, was an actual good Georgia player. What am I going to say?
But it shows that's what they want to do.
Yeah. I hope. I don't know. I'm not just going to pencil in Green Bay's offense as being just the same old Green Bay. I think they're going to struggle this year. I feel like they're going to have a tough time. I think it's going to be an adjustment period in Green Bay.
It'll be interesting.
You don't lose Devontae Adams and get better. That doesn't happen.
No.
The thing that'll be most interesting to me is, will they make a focused effort on utilizing Aaron Jones as a legitimate receiver? Are we going to see Aaron Jones lining up in the slot, moving all over the field kind of thing? Can we see Aaron Jones in the slot while AJ Dillon's in the backfield? I wonder if the target numbers go up even more for Aaron Jones while the rushing attempts come down a little bit more, and the gap in rushing attempts grows even from what it was a season ago for Dillon and Jones. But that Aaron Jones, I still have Aaron Jones ahead of him because I think he's going to be in store for a ton of receiving work this year because, like you said, it's not going to be all Christian Watson and Sammy Watkins.
If you look at AJ Dillon's game to game, his first 3 games he went 4 carries, 5 carries, 6 carries. They didn't start him right away. If you take those 3 games out and just kind of did his average rush attempts per game, that puts him right at 208, which feels kind of like that sweet spot.
Yeah, I could see that. Let's wrap things up with the last guy that got brought up in the Discord, and then we'll fire off a couple quick guys that we think could break out this year. Tua Tagovailoa on the breakout list. Threw for just over 2,600 yards last year, had some injuries, 16 touchdowns, 10 picks, 128 yards on the ground, 3 rushing touchdowns. Look, he's got some more weapons. We saw what he did with Jalen Waddle last year. They trade for Tyreek Hill. Gesicki is still around. We still in? Tua's breaking out. I think he's breaking out or it's over. He's breaking out or he's not the guy, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm still in on Tua. So where do you guys land?
Ryan, you can go first.
Okay. All right. Fine. And I kind of am for it. I don't understand the hate with his performance. I know it's not, this tank for Tua thing, but even looking at the stat sheet right in front of us here, completed 67% of his passes. No, they're not deep bombs and that, but you know what? It's a high completion percentage. There's not, his touchdown interception ratio is solid. And now you're adding the most electric receiver in the league to this. If that gets his yards per attempt up, opens up the offense a good bit, given some of these other guys like Waddle, who we know is a great yards after catch receiver, you're giving him a little bit more room because he's not the one getting doubled now because Tyreek Hill's there. And there's not going to be as many guys plug in the middle to open up running after catch for Gesicki. They have 14 receiving running backs on their team. Like, everything is there for him to succeed. And even with him playing smart, not taking chances football, the yak enough could make him fantasy relevant. And if he takes the next step, it's wheels up. But even as is, worst case scenario, he's a Derek Carr type. And that's fine for fantasy. As we were talking about before the show, he was QB 14 last year. You could start him, and that's kind of to his floor right now to me.
Eric, where are you at on Tua?
Well, I'm definitely the lowest on Tua. I have him at 20. Ryan has him at 14. Ant has him at 18. If it's not this year, it's never. It's clear cut and dry with Tua.
If he can't do it with this team, it's bad.
Yeah. This has to be the year. And I don't know, man. I've been too harsh on Tua just to, grind Matt's gears a little bit. I was very high on Tua going into the draft. My reasoning for fading Tua a little bit, I just think he looks like a different quarterback than he did at Alabama. I don't think he's still fully comfortable. He still had more nagging injuries last year, and I don't know, man. That's my biggest issue with Tua. He doesn't look like the same prospect that you watched, and I worry about that.
I think that's fair. I don't think you are ever getting that version of him back, honestly.
No.
Yeah.
Like, he's never looked the way he looked before the hip injury at Alabama.
Yeah.
And it's been, what is this? Year 3,
This is
4?
3?
Yeah, it's year 3.
This is going into year 3, right? I don't know. It sucks because I think it is a real, like, what could have been, like, if he didn't have that injury, because he looked great in college. But I think that there's some real merit to that.
He needs to have more than 24 touchdowns. He needs to stay healthy for 17 games. That's first and foremost.
Yep.
Then he needs to have 24 touchdowns. He needs to have 12 or fewer picks. If he doesn't hit those benchmarks, and over, I would say like 38 to 4,000 yards. If he doesn't hit those benchmarks, they're going to be looking for a different quarterback. They'll be like, I don't know if this is it. So that's the bar. This is a breakout pod. So if you think he's going to break out, well, then I'm better see at least 28 touchdowns.
Yeah.
12 or less picks again, and like over 43 to 4,400 yards, which you add Tyreek Hill,
you should do that. Yeah.
Yeah. A bright mind like McDaniel as well. I would hope he has a good year.
Yeah.
And he has no one to worry about this year. Like, he always had that like doubt because of his coach shouldn't have confidence in him. Like, you come in with you feel good this year. Like, whether McDaniels has confidence or not in him, it's like he's going to show that he does, whether it's true or not. And that should be a big thing for Tua.
I mean, he lives in Miami. How much better can you feel? Jeez.
Yeah. Tyreek Hill had some glowing things to say about him today. So we'll see if
prettiest ball he's ever seen.
Yeah, prettiest ball he's ever seen.
That was a wonderfully set up lie. That was great.
I'm pretty sure he said that Tua makes Mahomes look like a noodle arm. I can't verify this.
Can confirm. All right, we got a couple minutes left, so real quick, Eric, why don't you give us the guy that you think is going to break out this season?
Nobody's going to listen to this, and everybody's just going to move forward. Kendrick Bourne. I've been on the Kendrick Bourne train. This is going to be year 2 in New England. He had 800 yards last year, 55 receptions, 70 targets. He played in all 17, but he only started 5. That's going to change this year. I expect Kendrick Bourne to be likely the top receiver in New England. I I think he's going over 1,000. I think he's going to have at least 6 to 7 touchdowns. He was wide receiver, I think, 34 last season. I expect him to push for wide receiver 2 numbers. That's how bold I will go with him.
Love it.
And
Ryan, who's
and going forward, he stays relevant. So just Dynasty.
My guy is an oldie but a goodie favorite of mine, and that's Michael Gallup. He is right now going as wide receiver 48, and he's coming to this Dallas offense that's missing a man with 104 targets, and Dallas is completely almost predictable on their offense with them having their 3 guys with 100 plus targets with their tight end, CeeDee Lamb, and who's going to step in there? Michael Gallup, who's been completely consistent. He's on the field. He's already had 2 seasons with over 100 targets and an 1,100-yard season under his belt, and we just kind of forgot about it. And now that Cooper's gone, they know what they have in him. They gave him money. Like, him at 48 is a steal. It's kind of stupid that we're letting him go at that value when we know he's the number 2 receiver on an offense that's going to throw the ball close to 600 times.
I feel like, real quick, I'm sorry, Ant, I feel like people are looking at that ADP and like, oh, well, he's going to start off with an injury. And Ryan, it's like what you brought earlier about somebody getting a value because Godwin's going to miss like a month of his year 26 season. People, if he's going to miss 1 month, this is Dynasty. You play the long game. Michael Gallup will be good.
Yeah. Even if it's redraft, that's 3 weeks. That's 3 weeks.
Yeah. You said ADP 42? 42?
48.
48? That's a steal.
Right now, wide receivers above him, Christian Watson, Jahan Dotson, Christian Kirk. Right below him, Hunter Renfrow, Tyler Lockett. You're really going to tell me he's right there with those guys? Come on now.
It's fair points. All right, Mike, I'm going to show the tight ends a little love here. Cole Kmet. He's my guy.
Oh, I hope so.
Cole Kmet is my guy. Look, I have him ranked like a top 12 tight end for Dynasty. He's my tight end 11. I think like the no touchdowns thing a year ago is ridiculous, but he had almost 100 targets last year and over 600 yards. And the Bears didn't do enough to make me feel like he's not going to get 100 targets or just over 100 targets again this season. Yeah. With a couple touchdowns going his way, he easily finishes, as a top 8, 7, 6 tight end, depending on how the touchdowns break. So he's a guy, look, he's only gonna be 23 this season. I think he's gonna kind of establish himself as one of those young, very bright future ahead of him tight ends this season. And come on, Cole Kmet, catch some touchdowns, man. Come on.
Well, just one.
Just one. Yeah, one would be a step in the right direction. That's all we're asking for.
It's gonna be like when Jacoby Myers caught that first touchdown.
Yeah,
the whole fantasy community blew up over it.
All right. Well, that's going to do it. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Dynasty Big Board, part of the Rookie Big Board Podcast Network. We'll be back with more of the Dynasty Big Board next week, but be sure to tune in tomorrow to hear from our friends on the Devy Big Board. We'll talk to you guys later.
Later, taters. Ooh, almost didn't get that one in.